this is how you end a freaking arc. The camp training arc of Yowamushi Pedal. Epic, 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 epic. That is literally the meaning of this episode. We start off right at the beginning of the episode. No freaking previews or freaking, like, last time crap. We go straight into a freaking race, head-to-head battle of all of them right next to each other, charging in on the last 100 meters, which was still intense as ever. They managed to carry over that intensity from last episode. And sadly enough, I was really upset with the failing of the second years. Really, the one thing I did learn about this episode in particular was that even with the cost of failure, you're still a winner. And let me tell you why. Even though the second years lost, okay? Even though they lost, Tadakoro hit their senpai, literally grabbed them both. They worked so hard for a year and pretty much congratulated them. They gave it their all. They broke their limits. They did anything possible in their power without flinching to overcome Imaizumi, Naruko, and Onoda, which was truly stunning. For these two talentless characters to get this far with just sheer willpower was what I say was the actual entire win of this episode for them. They showed that they can have determination too, as long as they want to keep going. And I felt that was a really emotional moment. I actually had emotions in my eyes because of Tadakoro just literally just announcing to them that they were good people, that they'll have a great chance at next year into the Inter High was just really awesome. I felt like they really did the emotions in that scene well. And they concluded the entire race, I think, in this episode great. Now, let's talk about exactly what happened with Onoda this episode. Okay, so it's pretty common sense that Naruko and Imaizumi would get over 1,000 meters. That was just downright obvious. Onoda, he is given a challenge this episode. We see his pedal just snap off, which is really logical why it would snap off. I mean, you get to see that since Onoda has such high cadence, I mean, it's pretty obvious that his freaking pedal would just snap off from the constant turning. So that was bound to happen eventually. At the very least it happened right here in the training camp, because Onoda will be able to deal with it in the future, I'm guessing, into the Inter High. Now, we get to see him get his cleats, and as I discussed a couple of reviews back, Onoda actually having cleats now, being able to hold on to his pedals to where he won't lose his grip on the pedals now, and he can actually just move like he's walking instead of actually pushing pedals down to move them. That is something I'm looking forward to see, because that is going to add Onoda to actually increase his cadence by a freaking buttload. I mean, literally. I mean, imagine when he gets his speedy wheels back on. Imagine if he takes off these heavy wheels, puts on his fast wheels, and has these cleats on. Just imagine how fast Onoda will be. I mean, literally, this entire training camp has been handicaps between the first years to see if they can overcome these obstacles for the Inter High. And I felt it was really well done, the way they managed to use, like, power-up type showing power-ups in this anime. It's really interesting to see. I mean, when we see a power-up in an anime, I'm gonna take, for example, either Naruto or Bleach, okay? Or Dragon Ball Z. We see them go to, like, I guess a Super Saiyan, okay? And it's usually out of nowhere. But in Yowamushi Pedal, they give power-ups logically. I mean, they pop out of, like, nowhere, yes, in some instances, but they're logical, and you can understand them, and you're like, okay, so, I mean, it's obvious why cleats would, make Onoda faster, because he's not constantly having to readjust his footing to stay on the pedals. So, I love the way the power-ups actually are really understandable in this series. It's really awesome. Now, one thing, though, I did really love in this episode is Teshima. He is a bro in this episode. I mean, we clearly see the second year, even though he lost everything, pretty much. He lost his entire chance of racing into the Inter High this year. He managed to actually show a really good emotional support for his fellow club members to actually stand up into the Inter High and cross that finish line and beat everybody else in the competition, and I felt like that was a really good character development for him. I really hope that he will eventually become a great racer and eventually maybe go to the Inter High in the near future. I feel like the actual side characters that were shown in this camping arc will actually play a bigger role in the future, which hopefully they do, because I don't want to be thrown to the side burner, because I felt like they had so much development in this arc that they deserve to have a lot more. One thing, there was a little bit of comedy after the ending song. I don't know if anyone stayed past the ending song, but we got another section section about otaku culture. Okay, we all know Onoda is an otaku. He loves anime. And we know he loves Love Hime, okay? Or, I'm guessing what they're trying to reference with Love Hime is actually Love Hina. And if you know what Love Hina is, it's a harem, you know, a neat, you know, main character's a neat. And so I thought that was funny how they were trying to reference that. And when you get to see freaking Imaizumi actually talk about it, I mean, we can clearly see that Onoda has converted Imaizumi into an otaku, which is so freaking cool. I felt like this episode was a really good conclusion to the camping arc. It did enough development with the characters to be able to feel like they're ready to move on to the next challenge. I don't know what arc we possibly can get into next. I mean, are we going to get into the Inter-High arc next? I mean, it feels very too soon. I mean, for instance, we're going to have 37 episodes of Yowamushi Pedal. That's 3 seasons worth. That means that is the freaking fall of 2013, winter 2014, and spring 2014. So, we're nowhere even close to finishing Yowamushi Pedal yet. So, exactly what is the next arc going to be about? If it's going to be the Inter-High arc, next arc, let's just say that right now. Let's say they go into the Inter-High arc. I highly doubt they will win. That's just downright obvious right there. The reason why is because it would feel too soon for them to win, and I feel like it would actually lead to better chances for the second years that lost this time around to actually participate in the third year, which would be really cool to get to see that. So I feel like that's the course the anime is going to take. I think if they do go into the Inter-High, they're going to lose, and then we'll have them rematch in the actual third year. So that'd be cool to see. Hopefully we get to see something like that. And tell me your thoughts on Yowamushi Pedal so far, everyone. What'd you think about this episode? What'd you think about the intensity? What'd you feel about the epicness? What'd you feel about the power-ups? Let me know in the comments below. And tell me, what do you think overall about this epic sports anime? Chibi out.